After our initial 3 nights in Tokyo, we headed off to Kyoto. We took the bullet train, the Shinkansen, which is a good experience on its own. Honestly, the most challenging thing is navigating the stations that can be very busy at times. Other than that, the Shinkansen is very comfortable and obviously very fast. But I wouldn't say it was mind-blowing experience or anything out of the usual. We did enjoy it and it gets you fast from A to B, but it's also really expensive. A 2-hour trip to Kyoto was about 90 euros. Kyoto itself is one of those destinations that you read and hear so much about that get really hyped. So I had probably the highest expectations before visiting, and I have to say, even though it was raining and it was really cold when we arrived there, I was initially very excited and embracing everything. Konnichiwa! Welcome. Hello from Kyoto. After we checked into our hotel, we went straight to the busiest market that we've ever been to, and we just went into like full-on let's explore Kyoto mode. Now, I don't know if it was because it was Sunday afternoon, but the market was so busy. It was very hard to move. It was very hard to actually see what the vendors were selling and to actually stop and like try stuff. So initially, we actually didn't try anything. We just like strolled along and said, okay, let's just find a place where we can sit down, recuperate, get some beers and just chill, because everything seemed so hectic. I was really overwhelmed. So after checking all the vendors and seeing what they have in store for us later, we found a craft brewery and just ordered some beers. Now, one thing that you have to know about beers in Japan is that they're actually really expensive. Like, all alcohol is really expensive in Japan. We were really surprised. We were really not expecting that. But I think it's because, well, I don't know, either their taxes are like really high, or maybe because Japanese people don't really have the enzyme to like break down the alcohol. So maybe because they cannot drink a lot, the alcohol is really expensive. Anyways, the beers were like sometimes ranging from like 5 to 10 euros per beer. They were usually craft, but still like really expensive. We continued our exploration around the market area, and yeah, my brother, he's a anime and manga fan, so every time that we saw any like shop that were selling any figurines or like any merch, we had to stop. It was fun for me for about 2 minutes, and then I usually just went on and like found something that I am interested in. But yeah, if you're into that kind of stuff, of course, Japan is literally like a dreamland. You can get everything. My brother was like, yeah, he was thrilled because he found like some really good stuff for really cheap. We soon got very hungry, so we found a very cheap yakiniku restaurant very close by, and we said, okay, let's give it a shot. Honestly, at the time, like, we were so excited because it was just super fun to grill our own meat, and the meat was so tasty. Honestly, I don't know when was the last time that I ate meat that was tasting so good. I'm not a meat person, but this was just like so yum. And it was just so fun. We really enjoyed ourselves, and at the time we knew it was good, but now looking back, like after the whole trip in Japan, this was honestly one of the best meals that we had in the whole trip. And guys, the food in Japan is so freaking amazing. Like, you can literally go to the most low-key, most underrated place and the food is still gonna be mind-blowing. So this was so yummy. It's like in seven heaven. I honestly cannot praise it enough. It's very good. With our stomachs full, we definitely needed a stroll, so we just kind of continued to explore the area in the central Kyoto. There's a good place to shop for souvenirs or kimonos especially, then that's definitely Kyoto. I was so thrilled because I'm obsessed with kimonos. So for me, one of the main goals of going to Japan was to buy some kimonos, and I definitely had a big selection here. We didn't really have a clear plan of where we wanted to go or what we wanted to see. I kind of just wanted to explore the area, so we kept walking north from the central Kyoto, and we stumbled upon this really cool area, really cool neighborhood that honestly now I don't even know where we were walking, but it was kind of like a mix of old and new. There was a lot of really nice streets, there was a lot of old buildings but mixed with the new, a lot of like hidden temples and things like that, a lot of people walking around in kimonos taking pictures, but not really touristy. It didn't seem like there was a lot of people, so I don't know if it was because of the weather or because it was Sunday afternoon, but at that initial point I really thought that, oh my god, like Kyoto is nice, like there's not many people, you can just freely walk around, explore, you can see everything very clearly, you can stop and take pictures and just enjoy yourself. It seemed very nice, very lovely. That's until the next day when you'll see what I'm talking about. We did stumble upon some busier areas where there was more people, more Instagram moment kind of situation, more girls dressed in kimonos, but I didn't really like put the two and two together. Like, I wasn't sure where we were walking, so we just like passed by and then found this like really cool temple place, very chill. Again, not many people. So I really enjoyed myself every time we stumbled upon a park or a temple area where it wasn't too busy. It just felt like a moment to take a breather because everything else is so busy. I personally went on this trip as a journalist to write an article. So beforehand, I got collaborations with hotels and restaurants to feature them in this article. What this means is that I got restaurants, accommodation, and sometimes attractions for free. In this case, a hotel wanted to treat us to try some sake. It was very nice because we actually haven't tried real sake before. So this was very special. But for me, the most special moment in this evening was actually just looking out to the street because it seemed such a movie-like scene. Everything was kind of surreal, and I just really took in the moment to realize where I am. We woke up at 6 in the morning the next day because of jet lag. So I was like, okay, we're up, let's go and explore Kyoto. Let's go to some of the most touristy places, the must-sees, the most Instagrammable stuff, which is, you know, the torii gates. Very naively, we thought we're gonna be not alone, but at least it's not gonna be busy. Well, surprise, surprise, probably every other tourist in Kyoto that was jet-lagged woke up at 6 a.m. and went to see the torii gates or the bamboo forest, We didn't even bother going to the bamboo forest because, as you're gonna see, the torii gates were extremely busy. I cannot even imagine how it is during the day, but it was still very, very pretty. I really enjoyed it, but I think these kind of locations are just, they hit you differently when you have the peace, calm, the serenity of the place, that you can just sit there and meditate and be with your own thoughts and like really soak it in and not be surrounded by so many people who are, you know, chitty chatty, taking pictures. I completely understand that I'm also contributing to this problem, but in all honesty, this was one of the very few touristy places that we actually ended up visiting, because this experience has taught me that there's so much more to Kyoto than just the really famous sites and the really famous pictures that you see on Instagram. Because yeah, at the end, I can say that this was quite underwhelming because of the whole essence of the place was gone, because it was busy, because it is supposed to be this zen, quiet, calm place, and it was everything but. How do you rate the torii gate?
Pretty, very pretty. Pretty out of 10.
Pretty out of 10. I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you are traveling, no matter what the destination, no matter what the location is, of course, there's always going to be these locations that are like super famous and super touristy, all the sites and all the buildings and temples and pagodas and stuff that everybody wants to see because they're just like incredible pieces of architecture, incredible pieces of art. But destinations are so much more than that. No matter where you go in the world, the places where you visit are, there's someone's home, there's, you know, there's so much other things going on, there's the whole culture behind it and the whole history and everything. And of course it's amazing to see those places, but for me it has always been more interesting to see like the behind the scenes, if I can call it that, like to go and visit the places where the locals are having coffee, to go and see the back alleys, like the really dodgy places, the very rusting and like these barely standing together buildings. I have to admit that I have kind of a soft spot for buildings that are kind of like ready to be torn down. Some of my favorite buildings in the world are the ones that, yeah, they're so old and like barely standing together. They're not the golden temples and these fancy modern buildings or anything like that. They're like really, really kind of like humbling places where you can really see how time has influenced and changed and aged them. That combined with nature and nature taking its course and how nature affects everything, I think what I found very interesting in Japan and very intriguing is just how they combine and fuse the old and the new, the modern, the nature versus man-built. The whole play and the whole harmony is completely on another level than what we have in the West. And you can always find neighborhoods of like really fancy modern buildings, and then just around the corner is gonna be this like really old temple. And no matter where you go, there's always gonna be a park somewhere nearby where people can just kind of step away from the hustle and bustle of Tokyo or any other city. They are very busy, but I still feel that people, no matter how busy the cities may seem, they have a different pace. Like, I lived in Paris and in London, and people here just seem more calm, like more serene. Everything is just taken at a slower pace, more considerate. everyone is like waiting patiently, standing in a queue. Like no one is rushing, running anywhere. It's just a different kind of pace of living, and I really, really appreciated that throughout the whole trip, and it slowed me down for sure. One of the main missions that we had for Japan was to try as many different food items as possible. We tried everything from like the most basic mochi to street food to Michelin star chef dining. Everything you can possibly imagine, because let me tell you, the food is so different than what we have in the West, so it's a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity. So I just want to try as many different things, and I would say 90% of the time I was completely blown away by the taste and presentation of their food. We did go to explore the Gion area in Kyoto, which is very famous. It's the geisha district, and it's famous for a reason. It is very, very beautiful, but it is also very, very busy. Now, I was prepared for this. I saw the pictures. I saw how busy it gets, and this is cherry blossom season, mind you, the most busiest season. Everybody in Japan is traveling, and everybody out of Japan is traveling to Japan to see the cherry blossoms. Spoiler, there were no cherry blossoms. But I was still quite overwhelmed by how overcrowded it is. I'm the kind of person who loves to stroll around and just observe, people watch, admire the architecture, admire the crafts, the traditions, the little shops. I love to take my time and just observe. But overwhelming. So this area was definitely the kind of place that I didn't enjoy. And I guess it was a little bit disappointing, because this is the main attraction in Kyoto and it was completely unenjoyable. It was just completely overcrowded. And if I have the right information, they actually just restricted tourists from this area. If my sources are correct, then the visitors are now banned from visiting this area, which I completely understand, because I cannot imagine living there. It's just a river of people, endless flow going up and down. You cannot really stop to take pictures or anything. It's not livable. It's not enjoyable. Maybe we spent 10 minutes there, and then we ventured out to find other areas which were just as pretty and so much more enjoyable. And at this point, I have to mention that it isn't what you think it is. Most of the tourists that come to this place are actually domestic tourists. They're Japanese, and they're all coming there for, I don't know what reason, but they're all taking pictures, and yeah, it's just a lot of them. There is only really a small percentage of tourists, mostly from China, Taiwan, and then from the West, that come there. But nonetheless, it loses its charm, it loses its initial beauty and what it is representing and what it was supposed to be. So I just want to warn you, if you are going to Kyoto and you have this idea in your head of visiting Gion and taking all these amazing Instagrammable pictures, of course you can do that, I think, if you wake up at 4 a.m. But in the middle of the day, it looks completely overcrowded. Konnichiwa from Kyoto. We are just walking down the street. Common theme here in Kyoto.
Closed.
Everything's closed, trying to find some coffee. Actually, on our second and last day here, This is the first time that I'm actually tuning in because guess what? I didn't feel like it. The streets are so overcrowded with tourists that it's been quite overwhelming. But finally, after being in Japan for like, what, 5-6 days, I'm starting to feel a little bit better. I think the jet lag is easing. And yeah, just feel a little bit more up to adventure and exploring today, which is good. But as you see, Kyoto is not only the traditional buildings and temples and pagodas, but it's just a lot of blocks of buildings where people live. And I actually prefer this part to the overly tourist neighborhoods. So yeah, the plan now is coffee, shopping for kimonos, and then train to Osaka. But just wanted to show you these cool cars. Everything here is boxy. Don't know why, but they just like it that way. Okay. How do you like Kyoto?
Everything's boxy.
Everything's
because
boxy. The houses,
that's the land they have. You can build.
Yeah, I know. How do you like Kyoto from 1 to 10?
Prefer Dakota. Akiba is my kind of place.
Who?
Akihabara.
Akihabara. Yeah.
That's my kind of place. Ginza and Kyoto, not so much. The long shops were nice. The long street, narrow, with like the street vendors. That one was the nice one.
The Himbashi or something like that market?
Whatever the market is, yeah.
Hmm.
Nice one. I started calling you. Like, thank you.
Quality food market.
We still have halfway to go. Ish.
Our last day in Kyoto was actually by far my favorite so far. I felt like my energies were back and my mood definitely improved. We didn't really do anything special. We were just kind of wandering around the neighborhoods and randomly stumbling upon cool stuff, cool shops, cool cafes that now I don't even remember where exactly we were. Sorry about that. But I guess sometimes you just kind of have to get lost to find the cool places. At least in my experience, it's like that. We did find this amazing kimono shop in the central market area. They were selling kimonos by the grams. It was 1 yen per 1 gram of weight of kimonos, and most kimonos, they weighed somewhere between like 700 grams and like 1 kilogram. So we got some amazing looking kimonos. They are second-hand, by the way.
They look nice.
For a really good price. Now looking back, I wish I would bring a bigger suitcase so I could buy more kimonos, because you cannot get this kind of stuff in Europe. My brother was so thrilled. He bought a yukata for himself, and I think this was kind of like the highlight of the day. Probably see from the smile of my face that I really enjoy that. After that, we were up for some beers, and we again randomly found this little beer place, this brewery. We ordered a large, and well, we didn't quite know what we were getting ourselves into, but as you will see, the large beer is actually extra large compared to what we have here in Europe.
Wow. Arigato.
So After finishing only one beer, we were kind of buzzed. Finally enjoying Japan because I pooped 3 times and bought some kimonos and had a large beer. This is the size of the beer. It's the same size as my hand. I guess it wasn't just the kimono shopping. I think maybe a little bit of alcohol had something to do that we actually really had an amazing time, and I felt like I don't want to leave Kyoto. We definitely have some unfinished business. Before heading to the station to catch a train to Osaka, we couldn't help ourselves but go back to the market to try some more street food. Honestly, there's so many options and so many things look so tasty. Everything that we've tried was so amazing. I highly recommend when you are in Kyoto, do try their meats, their beef. Oh my god, the meat melts in your mouth and all the sauces are so amazing. We definitely did the most shopping in Kyoto. So I bought kimonos, my brother went into his anime shops and bought loads of figurines. I also found a 100 yen shop that I thought was really cool because you can literally get anything your heart desires for 100 yen. So I bought a lot of stationery and just like little things, little notebooks and cards and things like that that I can use throughout the year and it's always gonna remember me of Japan. I just thought it was really cool and it was like 100 yen. I definitely left Kyoto wanting to see and experience more because even though it seemed like we traveled Kyoto completely wrong and just followed the crowd instead of our instincts, we kind of turned it around and it just turned out to be so much more than what you see on Instagram and all the travel guides. I really do hope I get the chance to come back and discover it properly. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.